When Albert Einstein was asked if he believed in God, students expected a firm no from the world's most famous scientist. Instead, he gave an answer that left them puzzled. I believe in Spinoza's God. What did Einstein mean? Who was Spinoza? And how did a 17th century philosopher who was cast out of his religious community end up influencing one of history's greatest scientific minds? Long before Einstein revolutionized physics, a young man in Amsterdam sparked a different kind of revolution, one that would change how we think about God, nature, and our place in the universe. His name was Baruch Spinoza. In 1656, he dared to say something that got him kicked out of his Jewish community. God wasn't a king sitting on a throne in the sky. God was everything: the trees, the stars, the air we breathe, even us. People called him dangerous. They banned his books. Yet today, scientists like Einstein see deep truth in his ideas. Modern thinkers turn to him for answers about freedom, happiness, and what it means to live a good life. I'll take you on a journey through his remarkable story, from his early days as a promising young scholar to his life as an outcast who changed the world. We'll explore why his ideas were so revolutionary, how they shaped modern thought, and why they matter more than ever in our search for meaning. Let me start with the moment that changed everything. A warm summer day in July 1656, in Amsterdam, when a 23-year-old Spinoza heard words that would mark him forever. Standing before the leaders of his Jewish community, the words echoed through the synagogue. Cursed be he by day, and cursed be he by night. His crime was asking questions no one dared to ask about God. Born in Amsterdam in 1632, the young man grew up in a community of Jewish families who had escaped persecution in Spain and Portugal. His early life seemed perfect: top student in religious studies, brilliant mind for philosophy, successful family business. He read everything he could get his hands on, from ancient Jewish texts to the latest scientific discoveries. But his curious mind led him down a dangerous path. While grinding lenses for telescopes and microscopes to make a living, he kept thinking bigger and bolder. New discoveries by scientists like Galileo were showing a universe that worked by natural laws. Philosophers like Descartes were questioning everything we thought we knew. And that's when he asked the question that would change his life. What if we've been thinking about God all wrong? His ideas spread through Amsterdam like wildfire. Religious leaders saw them as a threat. Friends warned him to keep quiet. But the young man couldn't stop asking questions, couldn't stop searching for the truth. The price? Complete exile from his community. No family member could talk to him. No one could even stand near him. Most people would have broken under that kind of rejection. They would have taken it all back, apologized, done anything to belong again. It was different for him. He moved to a small room outside town, kept grinding his lenses, and wrote ideas that would shake the world. Let me take you inside the young lad's mind for a moment. So there's this teenage boy, already fluent in 6 languages, devouring every book he could find. Hebrew texts filled his mornings, Latin and Greek philosophy his afternoons. And at night, he'd sneak looks at the latest scientific papers that were shaking Europe awake. Amsterdam in the 1640s wasn't just any city. It was Europe's publishing capital. New ideas flowed through its streets, like water through canals. The youthful Spinoza soaked it all up. He studied Maimonides, a brilliant Jewish thinker who said reason and faith could work together. He read Descartes, who showed how math could explain the universe. Know what's fascinating? The same hands that ground precise glass lenses shaped some of history's most precise ideas. In his father's shop, he learned to take rough glass and turn it into perfect lenses for telescopes. Each lens needed endless patience, careful adjustments, absolute precision. Sound familiar? It's exactly how he built his philosophy, taking rough ideas and polishing them until they became crystal clear. Now, let me tell you what made these ideas so revolutionary that people are still talking about them today. He looked at the world differently than anyone before him. While others saw God as a mighty king ruling from above, he saw God in every leaf, every star, every breath of air. God is nature itself, he said, simple words that turned religion upside down. In his view, we're not separate from God. We're part of God. Picture a wave in the ocean. The wave isn't separate from the ocean. It's the ocean expressing itself in that moment. That's how he saw everything in nature, including us. We're all expressions of one infinite reality. People called this view crazy, even evil. But centuries later, Albert Einstein would call it profound. Let me break down what made his ideas so powerful. He said there aren't 2 separate worlds, the physical world and the spiritual world. There's just one world seen from different angles. Like how water can be liquid, ice, or steam, still water, just showing itself differently. He went even further. If everything is part of one reality, then everything follows natural laws. Nothing happens by accident or miracle. Even our thoughts and feelings follow patterns we can understand, just like we understand how planets move or how plants grow. The most mind-blowing part is that Spinoza said, true freedom isn't about doing whatever we want. Most people think freedom means no rules, no limits. He turned that idea on its head by saying that we're truly free when we understand the natural laws that guide everything, including our own minds. It's like learning to swim. You don't fight the water, you work with it, understand it, move with it. Ever tried to read the most dangerous book of the 1600s? Spinoza's Ethics looks more like a geometry textbook than a revolutionary manifesto. Page after page of definitions, axioms, proofs. Why? Because he played a brilliant move. He hid radical ideas in the most respectable format of his time. Think about it. Who could argue with math? If A equals B and B equals C, then A must equal C. By writing his ideas this way, he showed they weren't just opinions. They followed logically, like solving an equation. And hidden in those mathematical-looking pages, ideas that would change the world. He starts with God, proves God must be nature itself, then builds step by step to show why humans can find true freedom and happiness. Religious leaders banned the book immediately, yet copies spread across Europe, passed secretly from hand to hand, influencing everyone who read them. Now, these ideas weren't just abstract philosophy. They led him to some pretty radical conclusions about how to live a good life. Have you ever noticed how strong emotions can make us feel out of control? Spinoza cracked the code on this centuries ago. He said our feelings aren't random. They follow rules just like everything else in nature. When we understand these rules, we gain real power over our lives. Take anger, for example. Most people either try to fight it or just let it take over. Spinoza offered a different way. Don't fight the emotion. Study it. Where does it come from? What triggers it? Once you understand its causes, it loses its grip on you. The emotion doesn't control you anymore. You start steering it. Here's where he gets really practical. And trust me, this might change how you think about happiness. Most of us chase happiness like it's something we need to grab and hold on to. He said true happiness isn't about getting what we want. It's about understanding our place in the bigger picture of nature. Stop fighting what you can't change and start working with the natural flow of life. Think about surfers. The best ones don't try to control the ocean. They learn its patterns. They work with the waves, not against them. That's exactly what he meant by living wisely. Learn the patterns of life, flow with them, and you'll find a deeper kind of freedom. But Spinoza didn't stop there. His ideas about freedom led him somewhere nobody expected. He saw that we're all connected, not in some fuzzy feel-good way, but literally. Every action ripples out and affects everything else. When you really get this, he said, you stop seeing other people as strangers. You start caring about their well-being as much as your own. Not because you should, but because you understand we're all part of the same reality. Speaking of reality, want to know how these ideas from a 17th century philosopher ended up influencing one of the greatest scientists ever? Let me show you the fascinating connection between Spinoza and Einstein. Einstein kept a worn copy of Spinoza's books in his library. When reporters asked him about God, he'd always bring up Spinoza because both men saw something amazing. The universe runs on precise, beautiful laws we can actually understand. Remember how Spinoza said, God isn't a person in the sky, but the entire universe itself? Einstein found deep truth in this. His theory of relativity showed space, time, and matter aren't separate things. They're all connected in one big cosmic dance. Just like Spinoza had said centuries earlier, everything is part of one unified reality. And guess what? Scientists today are finding even more connections to Spinoza's ideas. When quantum physicists study the tiniest bits of matter, they find weird connections. Particles on opposite sides of the universe somehow affect each other instantly. It's exactly what Spinoza talked about. Everything in nature is deeply connected, part of one whole system. But Spinoza's influence goes way beyond science. His ideas about freedom and understanding our emotions, modern psychology backs them up. When therapists help people understand their emotional triggers and patterns, they're using his insight that understanding brings freedom. Now, here's why all this matters for you and me today. We live in a world that often feels divided and chaotic. Spinoza shows us a different way to see things. Every tree, every animal, every person, we're all expressions of the same universe. When you really get this, it changes how you treat others, how you handle problems, how you live your life. Think about climate change. If we saw nature as he did, not as something separate from us, but as part of who we are, would we treat our planet differently? If we understood that harming nature means harming ourselves, wouldn't our choices change? Ready to hear how you can use these powerful ideas in your own life? Spinoza's life shows us something powerful. One person asking deep questions can change how millions of people think. A young man who lost everything for his ideas ended up influencing Einstein and countless others who shaped our world. When you look at the sky tonight, try seeing it through his eyes. Those stars aren't just distant lights. They're part of the same reality you are. the air you're breathing, the ground under your feet, your own thoughts and feelings, all expressions of one amazing universe. And here's the really exciting part. You can start using these ideas right now. Next time you feel overwhelmed by emotions, remember his insights. Don't fight them. Understand them. Look for the patterns. Each time you do this, you gain more freedom, more peace. When you face problems, think bigger. How does this fit into the larger picture? What can you learn from it? That's what Spinoza did. He turned exile into opportunity, loneliness into wisdom. I'd love to hear what you think about these ideas. Drop a comment below, sharing how Spinoza's vision of the universe speaks to you. If you enjoyed exploring these big ideas with me, hit that subscribe button and join me for more journeys through history's most fascinating minds. Remember, sometimes the most powerful ideas aren't new ones. They're ancient wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, Why Being Intelligent is Hated by Society, according to Schopenhauer.